Hello, everyone. It's 42 CEO, Unc42, back here with another video. And today we're going to be talking about some news, and really good news, especially if you're a Yeat fan. Yeat has announced that he will be dropping on October 18th, next week. Of course, there's one, condition that needs to be kind of surpassed, or, something that has to happen in order for him to drop. But I think it's going to happen, so I think he will be dropping, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, Yeat is planning on dropping Lifestyle next week, October 18th. He announced it through a video, a very well done video. I'm forgetting the director's name. I think it was Gibson Hazard, something like that. I'm sorry, it's very new gen of me. But yes, the trailer, my God, that trailer was the most ridiculously, insane thing I've ever seen. And there were so many, play on, kind of innuendos and just so many references to previous albums. It was methodical. It was just very well thought out. And I gotta say, he did his thing with that video. Basically, as I was saying, there was kind of one, I guess, condition for Yeat to actually drop Lifestyle, and that was he needs 200,000 comments on the post with the trailer. Now, I think that's definitely achievable, considering he has well over 1 million followers now. 200,000 comments. There are probably super fans out there that are going to comment 1,000 times, honestly. It was at 1,000 comments within the first 5 minutes. So it definitely should reach 200,000 comments within the first week. People are saying it's not doable and not achievable. I literally posted it on TikTok and people were saying oh, well, album's not dropping. But I think it will happen. Also, too, people were kind of joking about Zach Bia and how the bot kind of allegations, Twitter bots, comment bots, stuff like that. So people are saying, oh, Zach Bia will make it happen. I don't really know if he bots or doesn't bot. It's not really what I'm interested in. But I think it will happen regardless. I think it'll happen pretty organically, honestly, because he's one of the biggest artists out right now. He's literally outselling mainstream artists. And we're going to talk about sales numbers later in this video, but I want to talk about a few things first. So he announced, of course, the album dropping next week. He also announced with the trailer. With that also, he put on a story a picture of merch. And I'm not going to lie, the merch, it was looking pretty good. There were a lot of different variations, and he was kind of, taking a page out of everyone's book, or everyone's, book, what they've been doing recently, of adding a digital copy of the album onto merch because, they're trying to sell the album, right? And this is going to play into first week sales and just overall sales of the album. So it makes sense that it did it, or that he did that, and the merch looks pretty good overall. Now, in terms of other stuff with the merch, like the actual cover and everything, that was left kind of undisclosed. So we still officially don't know what the cover is going to be looking like. We actually don't know what it's going to be looking like. It has just a black screen over it, or a little black kind of overlay over it, and it says TBA or something like that, to be determined, something along those lines. So eventually we will find out what it looks like, but it's going to probably take, I'd say, half a week. I feel like it'll be announced probably end of next week, right before the album drops, a few days before. But I'm excited to see what it looks like. I honestly think it's going to be looking kind of incorporating the burning house. That was a part of the trailer. I would suggest you go watch the trailer. But yeah, that was a part of the trailer. That was kind of a part of one of the stories he had when he was talking about Lifestyle and signing up for updates and on the website and stuff like that. So I really think it'll have a burning house, maybe incorporate that horse, something similar. It could look completely different, but that's what I think the look's gonna be. Overall, I think in terms of design, I don't want to say step up from 2093 because I think 2093 was absolutely incredible. What they did with 2093, the visuals, the aesthetic, the theme, it was almost unbeatable. So I don't want to say it's better than than 2093, but it's close to it. They're doing a really good job, and they're definitely trying to surpass expectations and also what they did with 2093. In terms of features, I think that's a super interesting point, and it's kind of a confusing one with Yeat because we really don't know what Yeat's got in the works. We really don't know who he's been working with. We know he has a lot of connections. We know he has a lot of potential features, and we know he has already had huge features. Lil Wayne, Future, those are like Hall of Famers right there. So that in itself proves there will probably be some pretty big features within this new album. It'll be interesting to see if he brings back any of the mainstream guys as well. I mean, he worked pretty well, in my opinion, with Don Toliver. I think that was a great collaboration. So maybe Don Toliver again, maybe Future again. I mean, maybe even Wayne again, right? That's definitely something that he could be doing. So we'll have to wait and see on that. I think also maybe Drake again. I mean, it's happened twice now technically. Third time's a charm. I don't know. Could be happening. The reason why I do think Drake could be on the album is, of course, Zach Bia and the relationship there, but also beyond that as well. Super interesting thing that happened when Yeat was on his Euro Life tour, which he's still kind of technically on. Drake pulled up. Drake was at one of the shows. I forget which specific venue and location it was, but Drake was there. He was, taking a video. He had a video on a story posting, the crowd, and it looked lit as fuck. I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty crazy, but they seem to have still a really good relationship, and it'll be interesting to see, if he gets on the album again. I think it's definitely possible. It would be mutually beneficial for both of them, I think. It adds to their relationship, their discography. It's going to sell really well, or the song's going to do really well overall, so Drake could be a good one. Now, as a big Travis Scott fan, I just got to throw it out there. I'd love to have Travis Scott on the album. I don't think it'll happen. I don't know if it'll happen. I don't think it'll happen, honestly. But, again, I would love to see it happen. I think maybe eventually it can, but I don't know if Lyfestyle is the right time. Maybe it's more of a Travis Scott getting Yeat on a song. It could be that way. But that's in terms of features. What do you guys think will be featured? Like, who do you think will be featured? I think there's a lot of different options, and maybe he'll go the route of like minimal features. Honestly, he could definitely do that. Like, not that many people on the album, mostly just Yeat. We'll see, the approach he takes. But assuming this drops the 18th, and I say assuming because got to make sure it gets 200,000 comments. Assuming it drops the 18th, though, it's gonna be interesting because he's not competing really with anyone, but there are a lot of underground artists dropping that date. Specifically, in my mind, I have Ian and DC the Don. They are definitely much, much smaller than Yeat, of course. They're more underground. But it's still going to be interesting to kind of see how that plays out. Maybe both of them will use it to market their albums, and it's not really competing by any means, but I just think it's interesting to talk about that date and how it's going to be pretty impactful. Also, now that Yeat has his official drop date, and same with Ian amongst others, it's going to be interesting to see if Netspend and Osama-san are planning to, release the date of when their albums Jump Out and BAFK are dropping. Because, I mean, that's kind of what we've been talking about a little bit. I literally made a video on it yesterday talking about how, when are they dropping and how Yeat might interfere with that. But now we know when Yeat's dropping, so they kind of have the month to play around with and know which dates probably aren't the best to drop on. So we'll see what happens there. The last kind of points I wanted to talk about are comparing it to 2093. I hate comparing albums, but I think it's important that we talk about 2093. From a sound perspective, I honestly think it's a tough one. I like 2093. At first, I was a little iffy on it. It's definitely more experimental. It's, Yeat's most experimental album. But when I heard it live in Los Angeles, I loved it. And then after that, I was like, wow, okay, this album is special. And I still listen to it. Like Psycho CEO, I think it's probably one of my most played Yeat songs in 2024. I'm being real, too. I'm being honest. So sound-wise, it's actually impossible to judge. Like, I can't say for certain it's going to be better than 2093, and it's all subjective at the end of the day. So I'm going to have to listen to it, I'm going to have to hear it, and it's going to be subjective. But what I will say is I think it has potential to be better. From Turn Me Up, the one single he did drop on SoundCloud, that song would have probably been top 8 in 2093 songs. Maybe even top 5. I mean, I don't want to say top 5. I don't know. But it's a really good song, and if he kind of goes, like, playing back old styles of, like, Yeat music, which is what fans wanted. The complainers of 2093 said they wanted old Yeat back, and it seems like he's kind of doing that. I think he'll satisfy a lot of fans, and I think subjectively for a lot of people, they'll think it's better. I mean, we're going to have to wait and see, of course, but overall, it definitely has the potential. Now, in terms of sales numbers, that's an interesting point, because Yeat's 2093 hit a little slightly over 70,000 units first week sold. And I know that's not like, the most meaningful number, right? Like first week sales. It's important in the industry and to like the mainstream media, but it's not like the most important thing overall for an artist. Regardless, it's still going to be prioritized. Zach Bia knows what he's doing in marketing. He knows sales. He understands the business. And so that's going to be a really interesting factor into all this. And what they're doing with merch, the digital albums available, they're already technically getting sales. As long as they ship them out within the first week, they're already getting sales. So it's already kind of working itself. Like there's already a plan in place. Now, do I think it'll outsell 2093? That's a great question. A great question. I honestly, at first, would have told you I don't think it will. I don't think it will. 70,000 was kind of the cap in my mind for what Yeat could do. But as time has gone on, as the hype has kind of, gone higher, I think he can beat 70,000. I don't think he can beat it by a lot. 70,000 is ridiculous amount of sales. But I think there's still a chance for him to beat it out slightly. I think best case, he breaks 85,000 units first week. But 85,000 units first week, that's more than Don Toliver. Like, think about that for a second. That's 30,000 units more than what Doja Cat just dropped. Doja Cat. So, I mean, he's already beat mainstream artists, right? He's doubled like the mainstream rappers like Lil Tecca. I mean, technically with Ken Carson's last album too. If he hits over 80K, he'd double that too. But can he do it? That's the main question. I don't know about 85K, but I do think slightly he can beat out 2093. I think honestly we're looking around 75,000 units first week. The thing is too, I mean that's a ridiculous amount, especially for someone like Yeat. So there's a good chance it could be under that. And it's a little bit of a kind of high pressure moment for someone like Zach Bia and Yeat and their team. Because if it is under, then you kind of have to worry about like the falling off allegations. I mean, that's not what I'll think of them. That's not what other people will think of them. But the mainstream media is going to see, oh, it did less than 2093. Okay, he's fallen off. Like they're just going to, take that into account. And I don't think it's right that they do that. I don't think it's right at all. But that's a little bit of a worry for them because they gotta they gotta focus on that. They gotta make sure like he's continuing to grow because as soon as the growth stops slightly, that's when people are gonna start just giving him like the falling off allegations, like oh he's not as good anymore, whatever, it's too mainstream, all this bullshit. So they're gonna have to worry about that a little bit, and that's why I think they're gonna try to get some good features because that's gonna help sales. That's why they're doing this merch bundle stuff with a digital album. So I mean they're doing the right things, and we'll see. I think honestly, if anything, if it is a little bit lower than 2093, it'll just be slightly lower. Like it won't be anything crazy. Like it's not gonna be like 40,000 units first week. It's gonna be higher than that for sure. And if not, then hell, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm wrong, but. Yeah, what do you guys think it's going to sell, and how do you guys think it's going to sound overall? Are you excited for it? Are you more excited than you were for 2093? I think I am, honestly. I don't know. I was pretty excited for both, but I'm really excited for Lyfestyle. I think it's going to be really good. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I hope you guys have been enjoying these videos and the gameplay, and have a great rest of your day.